What do you see when you look at me? Do I look autistic? I'm composed and well-dressed. I'm not rocking back and forth or flapping my hands. I'm a Black woman on stage giving a talk. Does this match your image of autism? Whether you said yes or no, these are some questions to keep in mind. Where do these mental images come from, and what effect do they take? I was in the 5th grade when I realized my autism was something I would have to hide. Picture this: a birthday party on a warm, sunny day, kids laughing, eating hot dogs, and sipping on soda. Me and my twin sister, who is also autistic, are both in attendance. At one point, I'm over with the birthday girl, having a good time, talking about God knows what, when she looks over at my sister, turns back to me and asks, "Is she on drugs?" What she was referring to was my sister's stimming. She was rocking back and forth. Stimming is a coping mechanism often used by autistic people to help manage stress or overwhelming bouts of excitement. It may include doing certain movements or making sounds. In the autistic community, stimming is well known, but for this birthday girl, it was a shock. When she asked me this question, my heart dropped to the pit of my stomach. I was embarrassed, regrettably, more for myself than for my sister. As a selfish 5th grader, I wanted to look normal. I was finally fitting in, and that all felt ruined because of this singular question. It was my first experience seeing how autism could be perceived. So, from then on, I went into survival mode, hiding my autism so that I wouldn't stand out. In this game of life, I have 3 strikes on me. I'm Black, I'm a woman, and I'm autistic. Growing up, my sex and race were 2 qualities that my family were familiar with. I could always turn to my mom and older sister to learn about the facets of being a Black woman. They knew what to teach me so that I could navigate the world, even with these strikes. My autism, however, was new territory, something I had to navigate on my own. So, I tried to cover it up as much as I could. That infamous birthday party marked the beginning of my masking journey, one that followed me through the rest of my schooling. Masking involves hiding autistic traits in order to fit in. For me, that was mostly during social interactions. For every person that I talked to, I molded myself like clay, taking different shapes and positions in order to become what they wanted from me. I practiced phrases to respond to certain questions, toned down my excitement about my special interests like book series and Adele, and hid my discomfort during overwhelming sensory experiences. It was tiring, but it worked, right? I succeeded at fitting in. That was my badge of honor. But because I appeared to be doing well, no one knew that inside I was struggling. So, as a young Black autistic girl, I looked to TV, hoping to find some relatability. And this is what I saw. White male, white male, white male. Going back to my initial question of whether I look autistic, the image of what that looks like to you is probably based on these. TV is a major way we pass on information. It is an opportunity for people to learn about themselves and others. When I looked at TV, I was met with the same singular autistic portrayal. I was not able to see myself, and it frightened me. I felt alone knowing that my experiences as a Black autistic woman were not being showcased, but instead being erased. When the media depicts only white autistic males, it overlooks an entire demographic. White autistic children receive their diagnoses on average at age 6.3. For Black children, it's not until they're nearly 8. That's a whole year and a half extra, if not longer, of Black autistic children struggling on their own. I had the privilege of being diagnosed early, which allowed me to receive certain accommodations in school, like physical, occupational, and speech therapy. But most autistic women, especially ones like me, are not as fortunate. Many women are not diagnosed until their teen or adult years, leading them to feel largely out of place for most of their childhood. It can even go to the extent of them hating themselves, confused why they operate the way they do in their school and personal lives. I can't even tell you how many stories I've heard of women who felt so free, finally learning that they were autistic. This is why my question, do I look autistic, is so important. Not because of your answer, but because of how your answer reveals certain stereotypes that harm marginalized communities. Although these shows are separated by time, not much has changed for autistic characters in the media. We are still repeatedly being presented with the same trope: the socially awkward, genius-like white male. Even attempts to step outside of this mold have often caused harm, like Sia's recent film, Music. The plus was that the lead was a female. However, it portrayed autistic people as childlike and immature, and cast a non-autistic actor to play the part. Even the visuals consisted of bright, flashing imagery, something commonly overwhelming for autistic people. In other words, the film ended up becoming something harmful to the very individuals that it was supposedly made to represent. And it's not just about adequate diagnoses, high-quality entertainment, or self-confidence. Autistic representation is also a matter of safety. It's hard enough to have the 5th grade birthday girl question your movements or behavior. What happens when instead it's the police? When I think back to the years we've had with police violence, it terrifies me being a Black autistic woman. I worry for my twin sister knowing that she stims without realizing how it looks to others, knowing that stimming, an innocent stress reliever, could be mistakenly interpreted as a threat by police, which in turn could lead to an unfortunate fatality. So, while this may just seem like an issue of too many white males gracing your TV screens, it spans to a larger concern. Autism is more than just a white person disorder, and the lack of accurate information can deeply impact marginalized groups who deal with it too. They may not get the accommodations or protection that they need because they're constantly being overlooked. But there are ways we can combat this. Platforms like YouTube and TikTok are giving autistic people the chance to share their experiences in their words. So, We need to be listening to their personal stories and affirming these social media platforms as valid places to share content. We also need to respond to autistic voices and requests for autistic actors to be casted. These tweets from Sia showcase utter disrespect towards the people she was aiming to represent. When creating media, we need to cast autistic actors and listen to the autistic community's feedback. Lastly, coming from an autistic person, we need more real experiences on the screen. Show autistic characters with friends, autistic characters being average, autistic characters whose entire plot isn't just them being autistic. Our realistic and successful lives deserve to be shown too. Therefore, when consuming media, we need to think about future generations. Instead of continuing this cycle of misrepresentation or underdiagnosis, of autistic children struggling to understand themselves, and of birthday girls or the police misinterpreting our actions, let's engage with the media that serves us. It's time to make this world safe for marginalized autistic people. Thank you.